And actually, it's quite amazing when you're doing a refurb because you realise you could spend loads of money if you want to. It literally, you could get a 100 grand kitchen, or you can look at your budget and say, right, either we get what we can afford now, or we save a little bit and then we get in later. And I think we both agreed we're not looking to take out any borrowing or anything like that in order to renovate this house, even if we have to build the kitchen ourselves.
Welcome to the Wealth with Love podcast, the place to be where we want to showcase the positive side of money and relationships. And today we have a very special couple as a guest joining us. We have Isaac and Michelle. We have come across their journey on Instagram, on their platform, and it's a really beautiful journey that they're on. And we thought it'd be really, really good to have a chat with them about what they're doing and how they're building their wealth and their love together. So, Isaac and Michelle, welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, glad to be here. Really excited about this.
Awesome. Well, for those who are coming across you for the first time, could you please tell us a little bit about yourselves? What do you guys do, and how long have you been together?
Sure. Well, shall I start?
Yeah, sure.
My name's Michelle, as you know. I'm an event florist, so I do that as my full-time work, but I'm currently on maternity leave. And then I also have a business that's also in floristry as well, and that's me doing weddings, private events, and those kind of bits. So it's just like my full-time work, but I have it as a business as well.
Yeah, so I'm Isaac. I'm a business development manager for a large lender, working in the buy-to-let sector. Only started that role recently. I'm also a portfolio landlord, investor, quite eager of growing wealth and long-term investments. So that's something I've been doing since 2018, and we've been together. We're about to touch 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. We love to see it. We love to see 100%. Other couples that have been together for ages, because it just shows other people that, you know what, couples are making it, and couples have beautiful relationships out here, and so you can do it too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, love it. So going back to, 9 years ago sort of time, at what stage did you start to talk about money?
From day one or day two?
I mean, I was in, banking? So money was a very early stage conversation.
It did start really, really early. And where my background isn't, I wouldn't say focused on money, it just made me realise how important it actually was. Because in my family, we wouldn't discuss it as much, if that makes sense. But when I met Isaac, he just showed me how important it was. So, and that was, as I said, I'm not actually lying, it was from very early, like at least a month in, we'd just be on it with, Isaac would be on it in terms of, what's this situation looking like, or what's this situation looking like? And I guess at times I felt a bit uncomfortable with it, but I understood how important it was. So, Isaac likes to explain a lot of things. So I just kind of appreciated it, and then thought, it's an open book. There's nothing to hide. So, yeah. Yeah,
I think just to add to that as well, I think me and Michelle came from very different concepts of how money works for us. I came from a limited belief system of money. And it was about conserving and saving, and you have to watch every penny that's coming flowing out. So I think the early conversations probably wouldn't have been great for Michelle, just because it was more.
I was like this.
I'll give you some credit, because to be honest, your version of extravagant is very different to my version of extravagant. But it was more. I was coming from a place of fear. I just never wanted anything to rock the boat. And especially money, I didn't want money to be the thing that, I guess, breaks us down the road. So I even though it might come across as if, we had these amazing positive conversations, I don't think I was actually coming from a very positive place. I think I was coming from a place of fear, which I had to grow through.
That's amazing, because I feel like we're similar in a way, because I came from a place similar to Isaac, and then Tanda was similar to Michelle. And when we first got together, we had a bit of friction because we're trying to then understand each other, and we didn't move in together until we got married. So literally it was heightened at that point. Like, we need to make this work. How do we like get to understand each other to begin with and then work together? And we had to adjust a lot at the beginning, but thank God we did, because it's helped us get this far.
Absolutely.
100%. And you said it, it's friction. But it's funny how perseverance works. It's friction, but you persevere. And it's that perseverance that has the lessons, the humility, everything that's within that. Honestly, you can only be positive on the other side.
Absolutely. Was there a specific area that you did have to persevere on when it came to like managing money together as a couple?
Yeah, I think there was.
Yeah.
I think it was so when we first got together, it was the story of us getting together is really interesting if we get into that. But anyway, when we did get together, I was staying at my brother's house, and it doesn't matter what house I've ever lived in. From the age of 18, I had to pay rent. It doesn't matter where I was. My mum said, right, you're 18, you got a job, you're paying rent. So I had to pay my brother rent to live at his house. And I was seeing this £300 going out. It wasn't a lot of money, it didn't even pay the mortgage, but this £300 was going out of my account every month. And Michelle was living her best life. So I was oh, no responsibilities, all of that stuff. I think that's when we had to have a bit of a serious chat in terms of, you're here 95% of the time.
I knew my stuff in.
An unofficial suitcase, literally. It was like under the clothes every week. And I think that's what brokered the initial conversations is, right, how do we work together so not one person isn't under strain over another. And I had some commitments and she had none, so I thought, let's tip this scale a little bit. So we had to have some conversations.
I had none. I think it is a bit deeper than that, because there was some hurdles that we had to kind of get over that were a bit more serious. But we kind of worked together through that. Isaac was very persistent and very honest, and I think I wasn't ready for that honesty. But we had to have a really deep chat about it, and it's not just at the beginning. It was constant. So, like, if I'm skipping ahead a couple of years, we went through our marriage counselling, and finance came up through there, and then we had another bit where finance came up again. And I think for me, it was just a reminder constantly, like, how important it was. Whereas Isaac had this kind of glow in his head, like, I told you, like, every time.
Do you know what's interesting with that as well? Because to be fair, Michelle probably doesn't give herself credit for that, but we didn't start at, okay, let's go 50-50. It was literally, I think it was more about building out the habit, because I think I had acknowledged that you didn't grow up the way I grew up. So initially, I don't know if you remember, but you started with £50. It was just paying a little bit to help out. And then eventually we got to kind of a space where it made a bit more sense. And I think it ended up being 50-50 because you wanted it to be 50-50. But it was interesting. For me, it was the £50. Can you commit to it? And early stage in your relationship, those things matter, because you're interviewing each other, let's be honest, and you're thinking, can she handle a commitment of £50? If not, where's the red flag?
Yeah. And I know exactly what you're talking about. No, and to be fair, it's probably one of those early tests, I guess, that you can do. It's to kind of take that relationship to the next level. And I think what you're talking about there is quite interesting, how you're saying you kind of gone through some peaks and troughs and some hurdles, but in each of those, money played a part in it. Maybe it wasn't the focus, but it was actually still in there. Money was still in the mix of, in spite of all these other things, money is still quite important in a relationship. Now, I'm curious to know from your perspective, and particularly from your journey, some people kind of have this idea that it's not good for couples to mix financially. If you get into a relationship, you want to keep your own bag, your own, and then you want, your partner keep their own bag, because you don't want to mess up what you've got or take on their debts, or whatever the case is. What are your guys' thoughts on couples and that thought of like couples shouldn't mix money and relationships together?
Well, at first we started off with kind kind of having our own money, and then it just didn't work. So we had to. It was a joint thing. Even now, more than ever, since renovating this house, it's just been a thing where it has to be joint. Like we're for that, aren't we?
I think kind of fast forward to where we are now, because it's such a journey to get to this where we are today. But it's I think now we appreciate our individual skill sets a lot more, because I think early stages in a relationship, you want to do so much for the relationship that there's this overemphasized concept of 50-50, and I think it's a flawed concept because it completely ignores the fact that two people bring completely different things to the table, as opposed to you bring exactly what I bring, and you walk right, I walk left. It doesn't make sense. So I think we had to grow out of that. Probably an idea we had from movies or wherever it comes from. We had to grow out of that and realize that my background, my environment, maybe the trauma around the fears of losing money allows me to be a little bit into the detail around it. And, it's always been a choice. And I believe you're okay for me to manage things.
Because I think even from where we've both had our own businesses in the past as well, like we haven't kept that separate. And there has to be conversations with that as well, because that's not just my money. That's also going to be Isaac's money, or our bill money, or I don't know. It could be anything. But I think our aim now, which we're slowly getting to, is the 4 pots, isn't it?
Yeah. So I don't know if you've seen the Steve Harvey video that's been quite popular and circulated.
Yeah.
And he talks about the 4 pots, and it's so weird, but it's a vision that I've had for longer than I can remember in regards to a relationship base. Because I think I used to always say it to you in terms of, for me, I'm not interested in anyone's money. It's more about working as a team. If we can work as a team, however that looks like, you have your money, go buy whatever you want. I have my money, go buy. But the middle pot, that pot, there's real responsibilities around that pot.
So it kind of sounds like we're contradicting ourselves, but it is joint money. So what's the 4 pot? So it's our savings,
your money, my money,
and that
savings.
My money and his money is basically our separate play money. Yeah. Like whatever we want to do, treats, whatever.
Yeah,
and then
joint savings,
and
then bills and outgoings, expenses.
Yeah. So we're halfway there.
No, we love that. We have a similar way of managing our money. So when we came into like growing up, we'd always been told when you get married, you join all your money, but we never really understood why. And we just did it because people say do it. And then I think because we did that, we started to have a bit of friction because we were not getting the reason why. We didn't have our why in the whole situation. We're just doing it because someone else say do it. But the minute we realized, okay, why are we doing this? Why are we joining our money? Why are we putting our savings together? Why are we doing what we're doing? Then we started to realize that actually what we really, really wanted was to work together when it came to our money. And which is what I'm also hearing you guys say, which is that you want to work together. You're a team. That's your partner. You want to be together when it comes to your money. So we have a similar way of also dealing with our money. And it actually really works for us.
So earlier you mentioned the renovation. So you're currently renovating your home. The first question is, how is that going? How are you finding it?
It's good. It's very start-stop at the moment. Because it's kind of working around a 6-month-old, and then
budgets.
Budgets is the biggest one. And then Isaac's recently got a new job, so that's kind of taken his focus at the moment, because obviously at the beginning you have to kind of put your all into it, and then you can relax afterwards. So but budget is the main thing that's kind of stopped us. Well, it's not stopped us right now because we're still getting on.
It's put us in a position where we then you kind of have to take a pragmatic view in a way. So we're now reconfiguring everything, the money, and where are we? What's going to be the next target? And actually, it's quite amazing when you're doing a refurb, because you realise you could spend loads of money if you want to. It's literally, you could get a $100,000 kitchen, or you can look at your budget and say, right, either we get what we can afford now, or we save a little bit and then we get in later. And I think we both agreed we're not looking to take out any borrowing or anything like that in order to renovate this house, even if we have to build the kitchen ourselves. we're not borrowing in order to enable us to live for the short term. So this is a slow burn, minimum, I think 5-6 years. We said we will get there.
Yeah.
Wow, 5-6 years. That is very slow burn.
Kitchens are expensive.
Yeah, kitchens are not cheap.
Kitchens
like
aren't
when you
cheap.
look at them, you don't think like they're that much. But every time we go out and look at kitchens, like, oh my God, like this is expensive.
Yeah. So kitchens for next year. We're aiming next year for the kitchen, but yeah, everything else is a slow burner.
I think also the way I tend to look at it is within that time, we say 5-6 years, I do believe just through our product, like the way we're productive, we're doing stuff, the gift will come. Something will happen based on all the activity we're doing. And it happened at the beginning of this year. I mean, I had a remortgage come through and we were able to do quite a bit and move things forward quite a bit. And things like that will come down the road. It's just, it's believing that we can get to that target and don't expect it, but if it comes, we're ready. We know what's next and what's second and third.
That's beautiful. So I'm curious to know, because we bought our first property in 2018. And then we recently sold that and bought another house as well. And both times we were both.
Congratulations!
Thank you. Both times we were both. I guess it's slight disagreement about what kind of house we were going to get and what we're looking for.
That's always weird.
So when it came to you, particularly with like this plan of let's buy a house and renovate it, whose idea was it, and were you both in agreement with it?
Good question.
I think, well, to be honest, we both wanted to renovate a house. I think with that, my sister invests in properties as well, so I've kind of got the background from her. I wasn't fully invested in it, but it excites me to, splash on colour and not really get too dirty, because I have a massive fear of spiders and like really, really old houses that just make the skin itch. But I just love changing spaces. So I think that was my main interest in Isaac, because you can speak to it for yourself. But you're fully invested.
Do you know what? It's so interesting. I would actually prefer something that is done up in regards to my own home, and then through investments, literally take a proper doer-upper and have the budget there, and you splash and you do the full renovation. Doing it in your own home is hard because there's an element to it, which is you need to actually want to do it, and that want is in waves. It's like one weekend you tell yourself, I'm going to paint all the walls and the ceilings, and you wake up and you're like, no, I'm not. So it's been tough from that perspective, but I think the reason why it was such a good idea for me is we knew what we wanted. We wanted to live in a good sized home that we can grow into, that has opportunities to give us a big bedroom in the loft and all of that stuff, and a big, good sized garden. Because to be honest, Michelle grew up around that. I've always seen it on TV, so we were both sold on the dream. And the only way we were going to achieve that with our budget, without stretching ourselves too much on an affordability perspective, was to take a pill of realism and say, okay, we need to grab something that the market devalues, and we can add love and value to it, and then it will work itself out down the road.
And I think we've been inspired by a lot of programs. Like our favourite one was, and I haven't got any more episodes at the moment, but Homemade Perfect. Your Homemade Perfect, that's like our ultimate favourite one. So I think it's just seeing that and just allowing us to do our DIY version of it until we can actually, we'll probably do it one day, I'm sure. But we know that our aim is for our forever home. We've always said we wanted to just buy a patch of land and just build it up from scratch. So that's for our forever home. But for this is fun for now.
No, that's really nice. And I guess you get to put your own stamp on your house, because sometimes it's hard when you buy one that's already done up and then you're not really getting too many choices on what you want, but you guys are getting to do it the way you want.
Yeah.
And we absolutely love that.
Oh, thank you.
No, thank you.
So what role would you say property plays in your wealth building strategy?
I look at property in two ways, and I base this on my time. So there's the invest in, put part cash into a property and let it pay you for a long time, but really that you're building wealth, because what you're getting paid is probably not going to be that incredible if it's a buy to let type thing. But then there's the other side, which is, investing in a good strategy that can actually replace your income and stuff like that. And in all honesty, I used to drink that Kool-Aid in a way, but not really anymore, because I think I personally had a realization that if I was to leave work, and if I was in a job that I genuinely didn't want to be in, then I probably wouldn't do property. I like property as an investment. It's a good asset class to invest in for wealth generation in the future, but it's not. I don't want to be a full-time landlord. That's not the ambition. I have other goals, and I think when we've talked about it, it's kind of, you're getting involved in the property business at the moment.
Yeah. So what I'm doing is just not even helping out Isaac. I would say it's just helping us out. So I'm just managing a property, but I've kind of taken over from Isaac with doing that, because he's just balancing too much on his plate at the moment. So
yeah, and it comes with its challenges, isn't it? It's property is an asset that needs to be maintained and loved and looked after, and there's a tenant that has demands, and I think it's been good for having Michelle involved, because she gets the opportunity to see all the trappings that happen in the property industry that no one talks about on Instagram. It's always purchase, as opposed to, well, my tenant has this issue, and they might not pay rent if you don't fix it. And we have had that. I had a tenant who didn't pay rent for 6 months. So yeah.
Wow.
Was that because of the pandemic, or is this pre-pandemic time?
I think after a while he used that as an excuse, wasn't it?
Yeah, Michelle's the harsh one, by the way. It was a tough one, because he did have COVID, and I think he works in a job where if he isn't there, he doesn't get paid, and he isn't the most communicative person. He isn't great with his finances, and there was a bit of fathering, I could say, just to help him through the process. But it's because the law is on his side either way, so I've got to be careful with how I approach it either way. But yeah, we got there in the end. We got the money.
No, 100%. But you know what you as you've said, you don't see this on Instagram. On Instagram, you see the how to flip, I don't know, £2,000 into £50,000 in 9 months kind of posts, or how to buy a property and flip it in like a click of a button. Well, at least that's what it made the scene. And what you're saying right now is actually there's the real world side of things, which no one's going to shout about, but it actually this is the reality of kind of getting into this property investment strategy. What are your so it sounds like you're more on the buy and hold, buy to let sort of style rather than the other strategies. Is that fair to say?
Not necessarily, because it depends on where I am in terms of the stage I'm at. But how I look at it at the moment is our role is to earn a high income in whatever we do, and then we pile it into an asset class that allows us to either earn today or earn tomorrow. And right now, our model is to earn tomorrow, because we don't particularly need to earn today. There's no demand for it, because there is a sacrifice. I might have to give up time to earn today, and that will stretch me away from family or something like that. So yeah, it's income into assets. Let the asset look after itself more or less. So buy to lets is the lowest effort investments vehicle in property at the moment that I see, and I'm happy to be corrected.
Would you say property is something that everybody should get into, or would you say not everybody should get into property?
I would love to hear that from you, actually.
Why?
From a partner perspective, it'd be interesting to see what you have to say about that.
Does everyone need to get involved in property? I don't think so, personally, because it just may not be of interest to you. Like, for me personally, I'm like, I kind of dabble in and out of it, but I'm not fully interested in it, if I'm being completely honest. This is more Isaac's avenue, and I'm here to support, help, get involved in like making things pretty. Like, I love doing stuff like that. So that's where I kind of come in. But it's not even, we're not saying that's my role and that's his role, because Isaac is very good at that as well. But yeah, personally, I would say no for me. But it's very different.
No, I agree. Property is an interesting one because it depends on the reason why you're getting into it. And I think a lot of people get into it as a form of escape from whatever they're running from. But the industry is professionalizing, regulation. Lenders are becoming a lot more savvy in regards to weeding out people who see themselves as just the old school landlord. I own this property, I'm not going to touch it for 40 years, and then people are going to be more or less living in slum housing, and I'm just going to sell the asset and I've made my money. Those days are over. The government's coming for people like that. So I think it's not for everyone because you have to be into the detail. But if you're into getting into detail, I know people who work in compliance but wouldn't be interested in getting into detail in property because they just really want to just park money and earn an extra income. But compliance is probably one of the best skills you can have right now because there is so much to be said about being a compliant landlord and offering a good quality property. And I think a lot of people are not coming into the industry to do that. And I think they are going to be very vulnerable in a few years. And I'm even trying to change my mindset to, right, let's look across the portfolio. Where are the risks? Because if EPCC comes in, which is basically energy performance certificates are going to have to be above a certain level, that's going to knock out 60% of the market. So there's a lot coming, and I would walk forward with caution. No different to when people invest in the stock market. Well, that's probably a bad example. People throw money, but they should take caution. There's money to be lost as well as made.
Yeah, no, I hear that. And to be fair, that's a surprising answer. But I love the honesty because I think people have this idea, should I say, particularly maybe because of social media, that everybody should be in property right now, or you should do property whether you like it or not. Especially if you've got some money stashed or saved somewhere and invested somewhere, put it in an asset. In a physical asset that is, and property, and have some rental properties, and it's kind of becoming glamorized to be a landlord or to be investing in property. But it's interesting from your perspectives where you're both saying no, not everybody needs to be in property, and it's probably going to be refreshing for somebody to hear that who's probably feeling that pressure, like, okay, maybe I should get into property. But no, it sounds like you guys are very, very clued up in terms of like where you're going and your plan for where you are right now, in fact, as well. Now, just out of curiosity, have you made any financial sacrifices to get where you are today?
Definitely, especially with getting this house. Like, our journey in terms of living has been a real journey. So we started off, I'm skipping like a chunk of the story. Because there's no need to really get into it. But we decided to do shared living and moved in with, I think it was six.
Yeah, 6 people. Six? Well, four couples, and the rest were single, but 6 rooms. It was a massive HMO.
Right. Yeah, and this was a place in Needston. Oh my gosh. No offense to anybody that lives there. It's just not for us, okay? Yeah, that's it.
Listen, I grew up in an estate that was rough, but that area was rough. But saying that, that was also because at the time we were trying to get somewhere, every room that came available went immediately. Yeah. If it was priced at a certain level. So we were left to look at areas that were not as in it wasn't highly demanded, because we wanted to live in Wembley, didn't we?
Yeah, initially. But inside the house, it wasn't like glamorous and really pretty. It was nice. It was livable, which is it's a good standard for both of us. But I think it just got to a point where we had to move. So we moved on to Wembley.
No, Hounslow.
Hounslow. And that was a smaller, it was still HMO, but it was five couples in there.
Yeah, four rooms with couples in there. And then there was a guy at the top, which was a different story. But the guy
when we say a guy, it was an older guy. And he had quite a story actually. So he was quite ill. I believe he had cancer. So he had the whole studio upstairs to himself because he was going in and out of hospital. But he did like a drink. He did like, to enjoy himself a bit. So we do have some good stories.
Yeah, he did like in the middle of the room in the middle of the night. Yeah.
Just leave it as
leave it to your imagination.
Yeah, exactly. Just imagine living underneath him. So our room was directly underneath him, and my goodness me, we had some surprises at like 2 a.m.
Yeah. But then saying that as well, so there's a basis to this story. But saying that as well, that those 2 years, despite that sacrifice of living, because we could have got a 1-bed flat. So the context is we moved there because Michelle got a really lucrative contract with a high-end events florist, opportunity to learn so much. So we could have lived in a really nice 1 or 2 bed, invited our friends around, beautiful view of London. But we had a decision to make. We either spend all our money living in London, or we spend a portion of it and save the rest. And we saved loads. We saved, more than we could ever imagine.
Yeah. And the last place in Hounslow, that property was absolutely beautiful. Like, it was really, really lovely. But it was only when I got pregnant, we obviously had to leave. Yeah. So, and then we have this beautiful place.
Yeah. And we met some amazing people. Those 2.5 years, we had food from Italy, Bulgaria, Romania, English. We had so many. St. Lucian. Yeah. Like, we met so many amazing people who are still our friends today. And it almost felt like we were traveling. It was weird.
Yeah,
it was a very
interesting time. But I think that has been one of the most significant points in our lives, because we've just saved so much, and that was across 2 years.
2.5 years. And I think that time as well, we had some tidying up to do, just to be clear. So there were some debts in the background that needed to be cleared up. The sacrifice was so significant to the point that genuinely the pandemic was a blessing in disguise, because we were able to save on travel, we were able to save on social occasions. Yeah. How much are we all spending just turning up to barbecues every Saturday? It's like, to be able to save all of that cash and just park it, put it away, was a blessing in disguise. And we had to have a lot of serious chats as well as in terms of what our goals were. What are we trying to achieve? Because again, going back to the why, why are we denying ourselves Gucci bags and beautiful holidays?
Yeah, and even sometimes, like, if it's guys' nights or girls' nights, if a particular month we didn't meet, our budget, then
we miss it.
We just had to miss it. And it's horrible, obviously, seeing things on social media, like they'll post and bits like that, and you want to be there, and it's literally just one day, and then you get over it. It's absolutely fine. So
it was tough. That was tough. Missing a guy's night, that was
tough. But all sacrifices are, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think
it's hard. But it's always worth it in the end. Like, when you look back, you're always like, you know what? I know it was painful at the time. I didn't like missing the guys' night or the girls' night. And I didn't like not buying this or traveling there or missing that barbecue. But it's worth it.
Yeah. Or having like a shared kitchen, shared bathroom, for 2 years. Hats off to you.
No,
we didn't share bathroom.
No, absolutely not.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't sell it to this one.
Nope.
We could have saved almost double the money if we'd shared a bathroom. I couldn't sell it.
I was trying to but babe, this one is like, no. So it was always ensuite. Sorry.
Okay.
We paid the premium. Yeah.
But no, that's I love that, because it shows that even in the sacrifices, you can't, I guess, lower your own standards or your own desires too much, because I'm not gonna lie, even now, but like, no, ensuite, that's my minimum.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything lower than that. No, it's really, really beautiful to hear your journey, guys. And it's really lovely to see, now where you are.
Thank you.
We speak about this journey that you've been on and like all of the sacrifices that you've made in a few words, but everybody knows that in the moment it's like such a hard thing because you have this dream and this ambition of like where you're wanting to be, but whilst you're still in that sacrifice period, it's such a hard pill to swallow, to be like, okay, let's just be patient, let's just wait until we get our own space and our own like freedom, essentially.
Yeah.
But I'm sure now you're looking back and you're literally saying, thank God we did that.
Yeah, we are. We do reflect on it quite a bit, actually. And it's not with any disappointment. It's just constant smiles. Even living there, the Neaston property, I think that pushed our limit a bit. But even when we was in the Hounslow property, like we loved the experience. It was no regrets at all.
There were so many positive takeaways. But it's interesting when you talk about the sacrifices, but I learned one massive thing in that process as well is forgive the slip ups, because you are going to slip up. Sacrifices are supposed to be difficult, and you're going through this emotional roller coaster of I want it, but I can't have it now. I need to delay it. There will be slip ups, and the slip ups need to be forgiven because you're only human. If you walk past that Kit Kat and you want the Kit Kat, you might just walk it to the till and get it. So you got to forgive the slip ups. As long as you're not majorly off track, you just forgive the slip ups.
No, that's amazing, guys. It's been really amazing having a chat with you guys. So to round off, we're going to ask you one question. We call this our Wealth with Love questions, and we'd really love to hear your take on it. So the first dance at a wedding is where newlyweds dance together for the first time as a married couple. At Wealth with Love, when we say first dance, what we want to know is, did you step on each other's toes the first time you actually started managing money together?
Yes, 100%. It's who leads, who doesn't, who steps back. A dance is a great analogy, actually, in looking at it that way, because we didn't particularly move forward. We had to go back and forth and understand, right, okay, that's the reason why you don't like that, because maybe I'm being a little bit too strong in the way I'm approaching it, and I'm making you feel a certain type of way versus, well, when you don't give me updates, it's so many, there's so many things to it. Yeah. So that's a good question, isn't it? Yeah. I've got dancing in my head now.
Well, I'll throw in one final question, and this is going to be honeymoon. Just to pick up some words here. So, honeymoon is obviously, for those who know, the holiday that newlyweds take soon after their marriage, to the wedding, even to celebrate their marriage. At Wealth with Love, when we say honeymoon, what we want to know is, what is one money habit, money skill, or money mindset, anything to do with money, that you love the most about your partner?
I think for me personally, it would be that Isaac has some kind of way of making things happen, even when you think you're so far away from the target. I guess, I don't know, but yeah, he just makes things happen, and he's just got a real drive for it. So that's definitely my answer for you.
My answer for Michelle is trust. It's interesting because trust is a weird thing, because for me, Michelle having that trust in me to do what I know how to do well can sometimes be daunting, because you don't want to get it wrong, and you've got this thought process that, well, let me hedge my risk and take you along in this journey. But actually, the fact that Michelle genuinely has that trust of, I know you've got this, as scary as it is, it's the best. It's the best part.
Oh, I absolutely love those. Those are beautiful. Isaac and Michelle, thank you so much for joining us. It has been such a pleasure. to get to know your journey, to get to know how you guys are working together as a team, and how money is clearly something that is, I guess, used in the right way in your relationship, and it's something that's enhancing your relationship and your future together. So if anybody wants to touch base with you guys, connect with you, and get to know more about yourself and what you do, where can they get in touch with you? Where can they find you?
My Renovation, that's
yes.
it.
Oh, we changed it. Sorry.
_renovation. Or they can find me at Isaac _property, and your business page.
My business page is Michelle Barbin Flowers.
Awesome. Thank you for that, guys. We'll put the links in the description and the show notes for this, nonetheless, to those pages. It has been such a pleasure, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on today's chat. And it has been lovely to see where you're going, and we can't wait to see the future, what's ahead of you.
Thank you so much.
It's lovely meeting you both as
well. Lovely meeting you, definitely. And it's been a great chat. And some very interesting questions at the end. It's got my mind down like this now.
No, thank you so much. You're welcome.